and share my screen. Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to the second day of the training. So let us first discuss the Teachable account. I believe some of you had some trouble accessing it. So let me just clear those doubts for you. Once we have done that, I will do a recap of what we did yesterday and then give you the plan of action for what we're going to work on today. Today will be a continuation of Excel. So we will do Excel for 4 hours, 2 yesterday, 2 today. And from tomorrow, we will start with Power BI, right? But first of all, let me discuss the Teachable account. Okay. Now, what I've done is that in the training folder, which you guys already have with you on XIM files, you notice that there is a new PDF that I have put here called Access Teachable account. And basically, once you open the PDF, it tells you that you should have received an email from my end. If you can't find it, maybe just search for spam. It would be an automated email, something like this. Redeem your copy of one of the course themes, right? In case you haven't received the email or you can't find it for whatever reason, what you can do is you can directly go to this link, which is the one here, havishimconsulting.teachable.com, because I've already enrolled all of you, right? So all you have to do here is you put in your email, click on forgot password. You will automatically get an email asking you to reset your password. And that is it. Once you enter your email ID and password, you should be able to access it. Now tell me, what is the exact error that you guys were facing so that I can answer that? So anyone? Let me open my dashboard as well, my admin panel. You can unmute yourself or you can put it on the chat window. Just let me know what error you're facing and I will help you. Right? If I show you, you will notice that I enrolled all of you yesterday in the night, post the training. So you can find here, right? All of you were enrolled yesterday. It was actually 160, something like that. I believe some of you might have changed your names. That's why it's not reflecting here. Right? So one more time, all you have to do is on Dropbox, open the PDF. Then you go to this link. In fact, I'll put it on the chat window right now. So you go to this link and you just put forgot password, put in your email, and you should get a password reset email. Right? Maybe if you all want to try it for 1 or 2 minutes, if at all there is any issue, let me know. I'll fix it right away. But yesterday's recording as well as here itself, if I can just show you, if I search for XIMB, which is July 2022, you will notice that in the curriculum, we have day 25th July, that is day 1, and the video is there, and the 4 solutions that I created, that is there as well. Okay? So, I mean, basically from my side, I've done it. You have to tell me if you have any problem accessing it. So I'll just wait for a minute in case anybody wants to ask anything. Okay, I don't see any questions. So, yeah, I guess I'll just continue in that case. Perfect. First of all, a recap of what we did yesterday. That's very important. We don't just want to continue, working on more and more topics without realizing, with forgetting all that we have done. So let's make sure we don't do that. I also saw the feedback that came. There were about 50, 60 of them. See, I understand the pace is a little fast, okay? I'm not going to lie. and I'm not going to avoid it and pretend that that is not a concern. I, yes, agree completely that the speed is a little fast for, let's say, about 50% of you. Let me assure you that I'm not trying to speed up just for the sake of it. If you notice, I have so many problems with me, but I only covered 4 of them yesterday, which I feel very comfortable with because I felt that we covered a very wide variety of functions and we spent a lot of time on it. Right? That said, I will not be able to go slower for the only reason being, it's not that I don't want to spend more time with you. I would happily do only 2 examples in one day, but then the thing is there'll be so many things you guys will not learn. So I'm trying to find the right balance, which means that I am spending a lot of time on the example, explaining, giving you time to practice, but it will not be at a very leisurely pace. It will be a little fast. So my strong suggestion to all of you will be that after every single day's lecture is over, please practice it then and there. I know it's a late night session. You guys have classes in the morning. I'm sure they go up till late evening, but you have to take out time. Otherwise, what will happen is that if you want to practice after all the 8 days are over, there will be a lot of content we would have done. So it will become very overwhelming. You can do it. I'm okay with that. In any case, you have all the solutions, you have the video with you. So you can pace it. You can even do it over the next 1 or 2 or 3 months. Do as you're comfortable. From my side, I'm always available for any query that you have or any other information, document, any other example that you require from my end. I'm always available, even post these 8 days. So yes, I will try to keep my speed in check, but it would be similar to what we did yesterday, right? Slower than that would not be possible, but do let me know. Do keep on giving me feedback during the session, not after the session. See, after the session, if you tell me, sir, it was fast and do this, do that, it's too late. It's a post-mortem. So please tell me as the session is happening, and to the best of my ability, I'll try to keep that in mind, right? Okay. So let's quickly do a recap of what we did yesterday. Let me download all the 4 files. We'll not spend a lot of time on it, but I'll just spend like 2 minutes on each of the 5. So let us start with CLV, top end customers, which is customer lifetime value, right? So the first thing we did here was that we have a list of customers, which is in column B, and we wanted to know how many unique customers are there. So we wrote unique, right? Very simple. Once we have done that, now for every one of these customers, we want to find the total sales value. That means that in column B, I want to search every time Aaron is coming. And we know that Aaron is coming 6 times. And the value of those 6 times adds up to 886, right? So once again, just to show you, if I select Aaron here, you will notice that the sum of all of these numbers is 886. Now, what is the role of this hash here? Because all these values, which is the result of the unique, is only coming with a single formula, what it means is that they're all connected to each other. This is what we call a dynamic array. And because it's a dynamic array, you can select all of the values without telling Excel whether there are 5 or 50 or 72 of them by putting in a hash. Once you get this, now I want to sort the names as per the sales value. That means if the sales value is high, I want to see that name at the top. If the sales value is low, I want to see that name at the bottom. So we are saying that I want to sort G11, that is the name, by what column? By the H column, which is my sales value. -1 here refers to a descending order, which essentially means that the customer with the highest CLV or the customer lifetime value will come at the top of the list. Finally, we did an index. See, index is very simple. When I say index 1, like this, all it means is I want to get the first person in this entire list, which is Patrick. But I want the first 5, right? So we are using a function called sequence, which will literally create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're able to get this result. The reason I've kept this 5 in this yellow cell is because it's a lever, right? It's a parameter. It is something which creates a dynamic model. So I just have to change the number here and the result changes as well. Then I also showed you that you can combine all of these things in a let function. Let is just a way of declaring variables. So if you notice, let's say is that you can assign calculation result names. Very helpful when you have intermediate calculation, because that is what we're doing, right? We are running multiple calculations inside a single formula. So I'm doing a unique, I'm doing a sum if, a sort by, and an index. So the advantage of let is that I can basically do all of these one after the other. So unique customer is unique. Then the CLV is the sum if of unique customer. Sorted name is sort by of unique customer's CLV. And the top in is index. After all these 4 lines are executed, what is the final result that you guys want to display? That is the top in value, which is what you see here. So we're getting the same result that earlier we were getting in 4 steps. Now we're getting the same thing in a single step, right? Any questions on this? Just take a minute, go through it. Of course, you will have to practice it. I don't expect you to understand it or remember it perfectly the first time. It will require you a lot of practice, but it's a very good example because you're learning many, many different things there. Unique, dynamic array, sum if, sort by, index, sequence, and let. Any questions? All good? Feeling comfortable, I hope. All right, let's continue with the second one, which is incentive plan. This one, I guess, was much simpler. Incentive plan is a conditional statement. And what we're doing here is we want to split all the customers into 2 categories, either the incentive or no incentive. But there are 3 conditions that have to be met. So the first condition is that the achievement has to be more than the target. 100% is not enough. It has to be more. So if the target is 124, I have to do an achievement of 125 or above. Then there is a choice in the product goal, either product A or product B. And then finally, year frag, which finds the difference between 2 dates. So for example, the difference between 25th June 2019 and today has to be greater than 2 years. And the reason, let me just turn on my annotation tool. Okay. And the colors will really help you understand what we are doing. So you can see that the and starts here, but ends here. That is the red and the red color, right? That is how you keep a track when you're writing these complex formulas. Also, please do not write formulas in a single line. Even in the corporate, there are so many people, I would say 8 out of 10 people are still in the habit of writing formulas in a single line. Please do not do that. It will needlessly make things more complicated. It is so much better to break your formula into multiple lines by pressing Alt Enter. So to go from one line to the next line, you simply press Alt Enter. Unfortunately, on the online version, you can write the same formula, but you don't get the colors in the parentheses. It's very unfortunate. I have been waiting for a very long time for them to add it. I'm not sure when it will happen, but it's very irritating that this ability of looking at the colors is not there. But can't really help. Not much you can do about it, right? And the reason we are doing this minimum is because we have kept a capping or a ceiling. We were saying that a person is entitled to get 10% of their achievement, but with a capping of $20. So for example, in the case of Catherine Murray, even though she should have got 10% of 250, which is 25, we have kept a capping. So whichever is minimum, 10% of that value or 20 is what Catherine Murray will get, right? Okay, let's look at our Uber driver warnings now. Okay. Now here the question was that we wanted to get a different result as per the complaint type. So if the same driver is getting the same complaint one time, or rather the first time, there's no problem. If the same complaint is coming 2 times, then you get a warning. And then if it comes a 3rd time, it becomes a probation. And if the complaint keeps on coming, then we also want to write the probation number. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm doing what we call a mixed referencing. That is why you notice that B11 has a dollar the first time, but B11 does not have a dollar the second time. Let me explain it like this. I'm saying that this cell is fixed, but this cell is also dynamic. So what does that do? That every single time I'm copying the formula down. In the first one, it is B11 to B11. In the second one, it becomes B11 to B12, then B11 to B13, B11 to B14, like that. This is quite advanced. Let me be very honest. Maybe you guys are thinking, oh, I've understood it. And I'm happy if you have. But if you really think about it, it's a very interesting way of using dollar signs. Because usually we are taught that either you put the dollar sign to log something or you don't put it to keep something relative. This is a mixed reference. And it's very interesting the way it works. And once you get the result in the first line, which is the let, then I'm just doing a if else because there are 3 possible results. Why are we not using an if? Because in if you only have 2 results. In if else you can have as many results as you want. So if the occurrence is 1, blank, I don't want to do anything, no action taken. If the occurrence is 2, you get a warning. If the occurrence is greater than 2, you want to write the text probation as well as the number of probations the person has received. Now see, if a person has received the probation, then automatically the occurrence is minimum 3, right? That is why we're doing occurrence -2, so that the result does not show as probation 3, it shows as probation 1. So yeah, I'll just wait for 1 minute in case anybody has any question of this. Okay, there's something on the chat window. Let me check. What if you don't use the $B? Okay, why don't we try? Please watch. See, let me keep it on the side. Let's just do 1, okay? Now, if I say count if, now imagine that I just write B11, B11, comma, B11, no dollar signs. What is it doing? It is telling me that in the cell B11, how many times is B11 coming? That means my range is B11 and the criteria is B11. Obviously, the result will be 1. But the moment I copy it down, again, the result is 1 because do you see what happened? It moved to B12, B12. But I don't want to search for Claire in B12, right? I want to search for Claire in my entire data till date. For example, if I ask you, we are sitting on the 26th of July, how many workshops have you attended this month? External workshops, other than your college curriculum. Would you not do the same thing? Would you not say that, okay, I want to calculate from the 1st of July till date, how many workshops we have done? So that is the thing. This has to remain fixed, the first cell, because I will keep on dragging it down like this so that every time I copy the formula down, it moves down as well. Does it make sense? And it's right in front of you, right? That if you don't put the dollar, it is not that you get an incorrect result, but the thing is that now you're going to get a 1 every time, because every time you're doing a count if, you're only counting for the name in the same cell. So obviously the result will be 1. You're not looking at the name in the data till date. You're only looking in the active row. But we don't want to look at the active row. We want to look at all the rows till date. Right? I hope that helps. Yeah, I'm not really sure if pivot is the way I would express it, because a pivot really is, a summarized form of a data, where we are saying that, we are sort of putting things in rows and columns and summarizing it. I'm not really sure if this would be appropriate. I mean, I can't wrap my head around it. So just give it some thought. If calling it a fixed pivot would be correct, because in Excel, whenever we say a pivot, if I can show you, see, I'm also telling you how to be appropriate in terms of how you express things, right? Because this will help you in interviews and in internships. See, when I go to pivot table, the keyword I'm looking at here is arranging and summarizing, right? So yeah, I mean, just give it some thought in terms of what would be the best way to explain it, right? I mean, if somebody asked me in an interview that, what are you doing, Havish? I would say that we are using a mixed referencing, where we are selecting the cell with a dollar sign and also with a no dollar sign, because I want the cell to be logged, but I also want the range to keep on shifting by 1 in every row. Something like this. So this would be the way I would like you to answer to me in an interview. So that is what I'm telling you right now. Perfect. Let's look at the last example, which was dispatched orders. This was a little tricky, but it was a good example. Let's have a look at this. All right. Okay. I mean, see, once you look at the final formula, it looks very complicated. So let me do it one more time. There's no harm spending 5 more minutes on it. Okay. The first thing I want to do is I want to find the position of this hyphen, okay, the one I'm highlighting for you. Now, how do you know where the hyphen is? Because the moment I say find, let me increase the size as well, one moment. The moment I say that I want to find a hyphen in the cell B6, it will only find the first one. So it will give me 3, CA hyphen. So what if I tell it to start on the 4th position? Because if I start counting from the number 1, then the hyphen is going to be on the 6th position, which is CA hyphen 13 hyphen. Now we know that the length of the entire text, the entire order ID is 10 characters. So I will simply say that the length of B6 minus 6. So 10 minus 6 is 4, which is great because 4 is the length of the number at the end. So now I can use a write and I can say that, okay, I just want to know which are the last 4 characters, which is 1521, and it works dynamically every time. But this is, remember, not a number. This is a text value. So I will convert it into a number by writing a value like this. So now, so far what has happened is we have managed to get the number, which is great. The second part is that I also want to search for this value in the column F. So what we are doing here is I will just say that let order ID be equal to this entire thing, right? Let me put a comma. What is it that we want to do? We want to check if it exists or not, right? So how do we check if it is existing or not? We will do a VLOOKUP. We were searching for my order ID. Now, where are we searching for this? Of course, we're searching in column F, column number 1 and false. The 1 means that I'm looking at a result from the same column, column F, and false means that we are doing an exact match. When you're searching for 1521, I don't want the result to be 1520, right? Because that's an approximate match. We want an exact match. That is why we're writing false. Okay, once we have done this, now we can say the result, and we can say that if there is an error. In fact, let me show it to you like this first. Let me just stop at this point. Now, what will happen? If you notice, in some cases you get the number, in some cases you get an error. Why are we getting a 1521? Because the order ID has been dispatched. And here, why are you getting an NA? Because 108966 has not been dispatched, correct? Okay. So we know we are getting 2 types of results. So we will just create the final result, which is that if is error, that means if there is an error, then what should be the result? If there is an error, I want to tell the user, you know what, your product has not been dispatched. Otherwise, if there is no error, then we want to say that the result has been dispatched. And finally, we show the result here. And you notice we get this. It is quite a lot, okay? As I write the formula myself, I realize that you're learning a lot of things. But I hope you have understood the workflow. I would always be interested in you as a student being able to tell me the workflow rather than you memorizing the formula and telling me, sir, we remember the formula. For example, forget the formula. If verbally I ask you, or rather you ask me, so what did we do? This is how I would explain. In our order ID, there are 2 hyphens. I want to locate the position of the second hyphen. Once I know the position of the second hyphen, I can subtract that position from the total length. That will tell me what is the number of numbers at the right side. We will convert that number into a proper number by using the value function. Then we do a VLOOKUP, which will either give me the number or a NA. Number means it has been dispatched, and error means it has not been dispatched. Now we use a conditional statement saying that if there is an error, not dispatched. If there is no error, dispatched. You know, this would be the cleanest, simplest way of explaining what you're doing. And honestly, I'll be more excited and interested to hear you being able to explain what we are doing rather than the formula. See, once you are writing the formula, we all make mistakes. You might forget 1 or 2 things. You might put the comma in the wrong place. That's okay. Don't worry too much about it. That will come with practice. As it is in an interview, nobody's judging you in terms of, okay, did you write the formula the correct time the first time around? I hope you understand where I'm coming from. It is more important. Think of it logically, right? Would you pay more attention to somebody who remembers or more attention to somebody who understands? Understanding is the most important thing here, right? And like I said, once you're confident of the workflow, if tomorrow I ask you to do this in Power BI or Tableau or Alteryx or Python or R, you will realize that the mindset remains the same. The logical flow remains exactly the same, whether you're working on SQL or whether you're working on Excel, right? Any questions, anyone? So this completes a recap of what we did yesterday. And now I'll be starting with some new examples. Right? And I mean, I can't show you my whiteboard right now, but whenever I'm learning or writing a complex formula, this is a simpler one, but something more complex than this, you will always find me doing it on the board, right? That is always the best way to work. Have an A4 sheet with you, make a tree map, make a diagram. That will be always the best way to understand how a formula works. Never write a formula directly like this. Always have a sheet with you. I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to appreciate it. If I ever see you in an office where you are expressing the formula on an A4 sheet, I will always appreciate it rather than laugh at you and say, don't you even know how to write a formula, right? And I think any smart guy in an organization will always appreciate the fact that you are doing it in a more logical manner rather than, randomly doing a hit and try. Perfect. So we have done the recap. Now let's come over to, let me just clean up a little bit. Hold on. I had quite a few meetings today. Okay, so I would like to open XIMB and let's come to Excel case studies and problems. And give me a minute to come up with an interesting problem, something different. Okay, hold on. I think this one is good, but let me check that. Yeah, this is a beautiful example. Not a very long one, but a very smart example. This is an example I cover at almost every organization. It's mostly used in HR, but even in finance and marketing, you can think of different use cases for this, right? Now, for this example, I would request all of you to work online on office.com because we are going to use a function which is not available on the desktop version, right? So I'll also do the same thing. Even though I can work on desktop to maintain, uniformity, I will also do it online just to make it easier for all of you. Okay, so let me sign in. Okay, let me do that one more time. So I have literally done the exact problem, or rather given the exact same solution for Airbnb recently. I'm working on a project with them. They work on Google Sheets though, they don't work on Excel. So 389-8592. 389-8592. Right, I hope all of you are doing the same thing. So we come to office.com. I'm going to take my file called trainings that ended and simply drag it into the same window like this. It's very hot here in Delhi. Can somebody tell me what we are trying to do? Just look at the data. In fact, the data here is actually a real data. This is the data from Adani Power. I mean, everything is real here, right? So yeah, just try to tell me what we are trying to do. It's a T&D dataset, a training and development HR dataset. All right. So we're trying to find out how many training sessions. So a little different to that, trying to retrieve all the unique trainings. Exactly. So Shiva is right. We're not just trying to find how many trainings have been attended. Exactly. So we are trying to find, in fact, we are not trying to find the number of unique sessions. So I don't want to know that employee 001 has attended 6 unique trainings. I want to know the list of trainings that they have attended, right, everyone? Now, a marketing example would be that there is a market basket. So you have this in marketing, right? What we call a basket analysis. Again, because most of your first years, I don't know if you have read it, if you've heard of these things before, but the very common thing in CPG and in e-commerce. So market basket analysis essentially says that what are the products that somebody is purchasing? So what are the products which are a part of the basket? So especially when you're doing predictive analytics, you would say that, okay, if a customer is purchasing this product, the likelihood is higher for the customer to purchase a supplementary or a complementary product, right? Like that. Again, I will not take this into a marketing workshop, but if you haven't read about this, you definitely should, right? It's a very old concept, but the fact that now we have machine learning makes this concept very interesting, even more interesting than it used to be. But anyway, I hope you see the logic in terms of why this example is so important, because there are many cases where I would like to create a list of unique values. So let me explain it to you, and then you guys will practice with me, okay? Please allow me to show it to you once like this. You don't need to do this part, or you can if you want. I will leave it up to you. So I have A, which is 10. I have A, which is 20. And I have B, which is 30. Then I have B, which is 40. And I have a C and an A and an E, like this. Okay. Now listen very carefully. I would like to know how many of these transactions are A. So what function should we use? Out of these transactions, out of these 7 transactions, I want to know how many are A. How do I do that? What function should I use? COUNTIF? Everyone agrees? We're doing a COUNTIF, right? But I want to do something a little different. I don't want to know the number of times A is coming. I want to filter out that data. For example, if I say this is the name and this is the sales, usually what will you do? Correct me if I'm wrong. You will say, okay, sir, if you want to find out A, I will apply a filter. I will select A. Then you will, take this data set, you will copy it and you will paste it. Agreed? This is what most of us would do, right? But what are we doing right now? Are we not applying a filter to the data? We are, right? Now that is what I want to do, but I want to do it dynamically using a function, not do it manually. Please watch. So this very cool function called filter. Now filter is only available on 2021 and Microsoft Office 365. Hence, I'm asking you to do this online. Now what filter does this? Filter says that, what do you want to filter? I want to filter my names, but I don't want all the names, right? I just want to get those names where my name is equal to A, which means it will now tell you that, okay, I don't want to get all the values 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I only want to get those values where the name is equal to A. So it only gives you the A's. But you know what makes it special? I can filter both my columns. I can say B4, C10, and look how amazing this is. It will actually give you a subset of the data. And now if I change it to B and if I change it to A, it is filtering the data. You can try this out if you want. And Let me know if it makes sense. If you have any questions, please speak out. Let me just take a screenshot here so that I can share it with everyone. It's a new topic. It's a new concept. So I'm assuming most of you are doing it for the first time. Even though filter has been there in Excel for about 3.5 years now, still today, most organizations don't know about it and they're not using it. It's just a question of awareness, right? But once you see how it works, it's brilliant, right? Any questions on this? Well, good. Everyone feeling comfortable? Okay. Let's apply the same logic here as well. Okay. First, let me do it. Then you guys can do it. Okay. The first thing I want to do is I want to get a list of unique employees. Very simple. So I will say unique. We already know how to do it. I will select all my data and it will give me the list of unique employees. Let me just put in the formula here. And here we go, right? This part is very simple. So out of these 854 records, how many unique employees are there? We have 371 unique employees. Now comes the interesting part. Please watch. I want to filter, okay? I want to filter my programs, correct? So I want to filter column D, but I don't want to see all the unique programs attended. I only want to see the programs attended by the first employee 001. So I will say that only filter those values from column D where column C is equal to 001. So what will happen is that from the column D, it will not pick up every value. It will only pick up the values that have been attended by employee 001. So it will give you these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values like this. I hope it makes sense. But here's the thing, right? It is giving you the result in 6 different cells, which is not a good thing because I would like to have the values in a single cell. Okay. Now, please see how I do it. This is very interesting. First, tell me this. Would you say that the space is a character, everyone? When I write A space B, is it a character? Yes or no? Is a space considered as character? Yes or no? Everyone agrees it's a character. And how do I prove that? If I write the length, it will give me 3, correct? Okay. Is this a character? If I put in Alt Enter and I put a B, would you say that the length is 3 or the length is 2? If I write an A and I put Alt Enter B, is it a length of 2 or a length of 3? Yeah, so this is where most people think, why would it be a length of 3, right? Because there is no space. But here's the cool part. Watch this. If you look at the length, everyone, the length is not going to come as 2. It is going to come as 3. Now, let me explain how that works. Okay, please watch. First, I want to get that invisible space. Let me do it on a different sheet so that it's clear. Most people are not aware of this, but watch this. A, Alt Enter B, right? We already know that the length is equal to 3. So I've already proven it to you that it is definitely not 2, it is 3. Okay, now I will say equal to mid. That means I want to get the middle character, as in the second character. In fact, let me make it hello world so you understand it better. Hello world, right? You can see the length is 11, not 10. Now, if I say mid, I just want to get the 6th character, which we know is between hello and world. So I will say that, okay, tell me the 6th character. So what will be the result? Now, here's the interesting part. You can't see the result because it's a blank result, right? But if you do the length, it will actually give you 1. So it's very peculiar because you can't see anything, but you know that there is something that exists within that cell, correct? How do you know what that value is? To do that, all you have to do is, please watch. To do that, all you will do here is, let me just write the formula here so you guys can follow. What you do is, we will say equal to what is the code for this invisible character, and it will tell you that the code is equal to 32. Now, what are these codes? If you look at Unicode, actually, I'm not looking for Unicode. Just give me a minute. Maybe these are the ASCII. Just a minute. I also have to double check. One moment. Okay. How do I show it to you? Okay. Do you see this part, everyone? So if you look at the ASCII control characters, which is used in all forms of communication in technology, do you see that A, everyone, A, capital A is equal to 65, right? That means the decimal number for a symbol A is equal to 65. Now, if you notice, if I write 65 here, okay, please watch. If I make it capital A, it will be 65. A small a is 97. A dot is a 46. So basically, everything is a ASCII code. If I put a space, it is, again, if you notice, space again is 32. And if I put in an alt enter, right, you get a 10. Make sense? And this 10 is what we're going to use, right? Exactly. So this 10 is what we're going to use for our result. So please watch what I'm doing. I will say that I want to join everything. I want to text join. That means all these 6 trainings that have been attended by 001, I want to join it. Now, one option is you could have just put a comma, right? And we want to ignore the empty cells, so put 2 commas. And you notice that the result is like this. Now, if you notice, this is not a bad way to present the data, right? If you look at this, there's nothing wrong with it. You notice that we are getting a comma everywhere, isn't it? Like this. But it is not the best way to present it, because ideally I would have wanted to see every training in a single separate line. So what are we doing here? I want to say, no, I don't want a comma. I want to recreate that character, which has the code of 10. So I will say character 10. So what will it do? After every single training, it will insert a alt enter, which is called a line break. And the result will be like this. How cool is that? Check this out, right? So if I just drag it down in a few cells, the result is going to be like this. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how common this requirement is, especially in HR. Because in HR, there are so many reasons for you to combine, previous experiences, trainings attended, files submitted, stuff like that. And of course, in every function, there would be some use case for doing it, right? So I'm just showing you the formula here, and I would like all of you to try this yourself. So remember, the character is nothing but an ASCII key, and the 10 represents a alt enter. Let me also write it down. Alt plus enter is basically 10. And please note that you have to put 2 commas. Now, why are we putting 2 commas here? For now, don't bother with it. Just memorize it that we always put 2 commas, because there is an argument which is ignore empty, and we want to keep it blank, right? That is why. For now, it is not important. Later, if you guys want to go back and practice, I'm okay with that. But for now, just remember you have to put 2 commas. So there are three things that you have learned here. One is filter function, which allows you to filter the data. What you do manually, you can now do with a formula. Number two, you have learned how to identify the character and the code. And the third is text join to add multiple values. Any questions, anyone? Any question, anyone on this? Okay, there might be a problem where you notice that the same person, in this case 004, is attending a training more than once. Now, if you think about it, it doesn't make sense to have the value come two times, right? Maybe you want to show that awareness session has been attended twice, but maybe you just want to show it one time. So in case you want to do that, you can also put in a unique here. So what we are doing is that after we have done the filter, we can also put in a unique so that the value only comes a single time. As you can see, now it will only come a single time. So this is just a small update to what we have done. Again, it really depends on your requirement, because sometimes you might want to show that, let's say I have purchased, a Dettol soap. I might want to show that, yes, it has been purchased two times. I don't want to find a unique, but you have that option of showing the unique values if you want. Right, everyone? The big takeaway here is actually the filter. The unique we have already done. Text join is very simple. Car is a very less known function, but it's not difficult once you know what it is, right? Char and code, character and code. The filter is the important part, which is what I would like all of you to focus on, right? Okay, so let me save a copy. And let's go back to Office and let's work on our next example. Okay, let us see. So I also want to cover a few charts with you, but we'll do that. Let me just find one more example that we can do now. One moment. Let's look at the SLA. Survey analysis. Hold on. No, this we'll be doing in Power BI. Which other example can I do with you? One moment. Let's look at the project schedule. Yeah, I think this is good. Let's work on this one, everyone. This is called project schedule. So I'm trying to take examples from different functions, if you see. So marketing, finance, supply chain, all of that. Even though the learning should be transferable. So once you learn the functions and the approach, you will be able to use it across different functions. But I'm trying to pick up different types of examples. So this again, we will need the sequence function. So I would request you to do it online, not on the desktop version, because you will not have the sequence function with you, right? So let me drag it online, the project schedule, and let's look at the problem. This is also very similar to how you would be doing things in modeling, business or financial modeling. Okay, please tell me what we're trying to do, everyone. I think it should be fairly obvious what we're trying to do. Look at this very carefully. And just a moment. Here we go. Anyone? What is it that we are trying to do here? Okay, so estimating the project budget according to schedule. Right, so, okay, let's go through it. We have a project start date, right, which is the 1st of January, 2022. And we have the project duration, which is 6 months, but that can change. It can be 9 months, 12 months, 36 months. And what we're trying to do here is we are trying to break this initial cost into the number of months. For example, if my project duration is 6 months, then I want to break it into 25,000 each month, like that. Now let's see how we do this. So this part I can remove. We don't need this. Okay. Please see. First, let me explain, then you guys do it yourself. So the first thing I'll do is I will say that I want to create 1st of Jan, 1st of Feb, 1st of March, and so on and so forth, right? So I will say equal to, watch very carefully, I will say E date. That means I want to return the same date in a different month. So when I say E date 1st of January and I say comma 0, it basically means I want to see the 1st of January itself, which gives me 1st of January. But what's the point? I want to see not just the 1st of January, I want to see Jan, Feb, March, April, May, June, isn't it? So if I put in a sequence here, right? And in sequence, we say the number 6. Now let's see what happens. It gives me something like this, which is so cool. But the thing is that it is giving me, sorry, everyone, it is giving me 1st Feb, March, because that doesn't make sense. So I actually want to do it as -1. So if I try to put in a -1 here, now it gives me Jan, Feb, March, April, May, June. And this is so cool because if I make it 3 or if I make it 9, do you see what's happening, everyone? It's actually changing it dynamically, which is amazing because in modeling, you always have to work with these dynamic scenarios, right? You're working with simulations, forecasts, estimate, and you constantly want to make levers. You want to move some numbers around so that you can see how will that reflect in the final output. So before all of you practice this, let me just show you one of the client projects so that you get a sense of how organizations are really using it, right? So please allow me to go to files to show. One moment. Sterlite, let me show you which one should it be. I'm not sure. Let's just try one of these, Gaurav dashboard. Okay. Only for this part, I'm going to pause the recording, everyone, because it's a client project. Even though it's a very old file, I don't know if I have the rights to record it or not. So just allow me to pause the recording only for this part. So pause. Any questions, anyone on this? Please try this out. See, it's only when you try, you will understand it well, right? So please try this out. Any questions, anyone? So eDate will give you the same date. And because we want to find the same date for the current month, as well as for the next 5 months, we are putting in a sequence. Why we're doing a -1? Because we want the current month to be included as well, right? Okay, let me just take a screenshot and keep it here. So basically, this is the type of stuff I teach at a PwC and right? How to build better models. Okay. Now, obviously, you also want to have 150 or 1,50,000 divided by 6, isn't it? So it's very interesting. Please see what I'm doing. I will simply say count, okay, of F7 hash. So what will that give me? Obviously, it will give me 6. The same number you could have got from here also. Same thing, right? Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm saying that I would like to divide equal to 150 by 6, but that doesn't make any sense because if you notice, it just gives you 25,000. I would like to repeat 25,000 6 times. Any idea how we would do this? Anyone? Please think about it. How do you think we'll do this? It's a quite interesting problem. Let's see if you're able to figure it out. And please give me just 1 minute, everyone. I have to send in very, very urgent email while you guys look at the problem. Just a moment. Two, three, six, seven. Just a minute, everyone. Almost done. Yeah, all done. Okay, let's see the comment. Should we not fix the values? I'm not really sure what you mean by that. Can you explain that in a different way? So what I would like to do here is I would like to repeat this number 6 times. See if that helps you. Do a little bit of trial and error. Think if the sequence can help you or not. So in the sequence, if I say I want 6 rows, correct? And columns is obviously nothing. So I'm just putting a comma here, one column only. In fact, let me write as one column. What is the starting value? It is 150 divided by 6, which is 25,000. Correct? Let's see what happens. You get this. Now, the thing is that it is assuming that you want to increase by 1 every time. So we'll say that the step value is 0 and you will get this. I'm not saying this is the only way to do it, but I hope all of you will agree that it's a pretty elegant, very clean way of doing this. But, and this is so smart, watch this. If I make it 9, do you see what's happening? I can't, I mean, I've been training, I mean, now I've stopped, but I have trained PwC and EY for 4 years from 17, 18, 19 to 20, done 250, 300 trainings for them. I can't tell you the number of times we do this. I mean, literally, like for every module, you have to do stuff like this. And there was no other choice but to do it manually. No matter how good you are with Excel, there was no other way but to do it manually. And now you can literally do it with one lever just by changing this. How cool is that? You know, everything is changing. Just please try this, everyone. Should we not fix the values? I was saying like B13, B10. Not really. As you can see, that's the beauty of dynamic arrays, that I don't really have to freeze it because I'm not copying it down, right? I'm only writing one formula, which is giving me 6 results in 6 different rows. That's why if you want to put a dollar, you can, but it will not add or subtract anything. You will still get the same result. And obviously, if you have a choice to not put the dollar, why would you bother putting the dollar sign, right? Why is there a 1 in the second argument? Because we want our results to come in a single column. If I made it 2, my results will come like this. You'll get 2 columns. Okay. So if you want to create a matrix, you'll be using a different column number, but you can either leave it blank or you can put in 1, same thing. Right? I'll just wait for a minute so that all of you can try this. All okay, everyone? Okay, so let me again save a copy. Perfect. Now that we've done quite a few things on Excel formulas and functions, let us look at charts as well. For charts, you do not have to work on Excel online. You can work on Excel desktop. In fact, I would not want you to work on Excel online even if you want to, because in Excel online, the features in charts are a little different and a little lesser. So it is better for you to work on Excel desktop, right? I'm sorry to make it so complicated for you, but like I said, I can't help it. Some features are there online, some features there on the desktop. So that's how it is. All right. So please come to the charts folder, everyone. I hope all of you have this on Dropbox. So we have so far worked on case studies. Now we are coming to Excel charts. Now there's a lot of content that has been given here. Obviously, we will not be doing all of it, but I'll try to do maybe 1, 2, 3 of them with you. So I would like all of you to come to the sheet, which is, just give me a moment. Yeah, this one, top N. Everybody, come to the sheet called top N. Right? Okay, now the first thing you will notice is that I have already given you a few samples on almost all the sheets. We are not just learning how to create a chart, I'm also telling you how other companies are using it. Right? So you can see how, for example, this is a EY report, how they are essentially doing a top N, which means they're identifying the top 3. I'm not sure which one this is. Maybe it's a BCG report or something. It is Arthur D. Little, right? The world's oldest management consulting firm. So you can see that they have kept a reference line. So what you see here, everybody, is called a reference line or a baseline or a benchmark. Like in this case, we are saying that out of these, so we have these neobanks and we have legacy banks. Neobanks are the new ones. The legacy banks are the older ones. Now they're saying that in legacy banks, what is the average cross-sell ratio, which is 4, and what is the average product offering? It is 8. Obviously, some of them are higher and some of them are low. So I want to teach you how to make this reference line and also how to highlight the top values. So maybe the top 3 or the top 5, like that. It's a very nice example, and we'll spend some time on it. Okay. So I would request all of you to zoom in, and you can just shift this to the left in column B and column C. Please make sure to shift the data, otherwise our formulas will not match, right? So please make sure to shift it to B2 and C2. That is where the 2 headings should be. Right? Okay. Now, if I make a chart, nothing special, just the very first chart. If I select and I go to insert, I'm just highlighting it for you. If I go to insert and I select charts, the very first one, I'm sure all of you have either made it or you have seen it before, nothing very fancy. It's just a regular clustered column chart. But I would like to do 2 things. Number one, what I would like to create is a reference line like this. Also, I would like to highlight the top 3 in a different color. For example, I would like number 1 and number 2 and number 3 to be in a different color, right? Let's see how we do this. For the reference line, I'll just create a parameter. So I'll just call it ref line. And we will just make this color yellow so that we can see where it is. Or maybe green, doesn't matter what color it is. And we'll keep the reference line as any number that we want. So I'm going to keep it as, let's say 10 lakhs right now. And this is my top end value. I'm going to keep it as, let us say 5 right now. Okay. Now please watch. First, I'm going to write my reference line here, which is nothing but equal to P2 with a dollar sign, so that I can copy it down and the result is like this. I'm also writing the formulas at the top so that all of you can see. Okay. The next thing I want to do is I want to say what is the what are the top 5 values, right? So first we'll find the rank, which is I will say equal to rank. Okay. And we will say that what is the rank of 749237 if I look at the entire list. So if you look at this, the rank is 9. That means it's the 9th largest number. So if I try to find the rank of C3C19 with C3C19, it tells me the rank of every single value. And all we are doing is we are saying that if the rank is less than or equal to 5, right, then the result should be, I want to see the value, which is C3. Otherwise, I want to see a blank cell. Take your time, no hurry. I'm just putting in the formula here. Like this, everyone. Let me just fix that. There was a small error. It should be like this. Feel free to ask questions and feel free to experiment and try to tweak the formula to see how it works. But I hope broadly you see what we are doing. Let me also put in a comment here. Any questions, anyone on this? Actually, that is just my cursor, so I hope you don't get confused with that. Let me just update it once. Any questions, anyone? See, we are done with the formula. The only thing left is that now we have to create the chart, right? But I hope you see how smartly it is working. If I make it 1, it only highlights the number 1 value. If I make it 5, it only highlights the top 5. If I make it 14, it highlights the top 14, like this. I hope all okay. So now we select the entire data and I will create the same chart. So I will go to insert, I will select chart and select the very same chart. But you notice that it doesn't work correctly. It's hard to explain why it is not working correctly, but I'll tell you how to fix it. So rather than selecting the first chart, you click on this button called all charts. Okay. First select the data, all the 4 columns, then click on all charts or recommended chart. And in this, you will find the correct chart. This is the one we want. Like this. Just make sure all of you have reached this point. This is the chart you should see. So now if you notice, we are almost there. Only that last 5% is left. This red column that is coming every single, there are 17 categories, right? The red, which is coming for every single product, is the same height because it's the same number. It is 10 lakhs, correct? So if I make it 1 lakh, what will happen? It will change every time. So we don't want it to be a column. We want it to be a horizontal line. Also, why are there only 3 green columns? Because only phones, chairs, and copiers are in the top 3. So if I make it top 5, then there are 5 green. So we want to overlap. We want the green to come above the blue one. So first, let me change the color. So on the blue one, I will right click. I'll change the fill color to gray. Very simple. On the red one, I will change the fill color to, let us say, a dark gray. And the green will be the green. Finally, right click and I will click on change chart type. Final step, right click, change chart type. And in the combo option, we will say that the reference line is a line. It's a horizontal line. So I will make it a line. The top in will be a column and my sales will also be a column. So what will happen is the result looks like this. So we are quite there, almost till the final point. The only thing is that the green and the gray are coming next to each other, which doesn't look very good. We want it to overlap one above the other. So I can simply right click, go to format data series, and we will make the series overlap 100% like this. You can also reduce the gap width if you want like this. I hope you see how beautiful the final result is. I'll give you time to practice. But if you say reference line is 0, top in is 0, your chart is like this. It's just a normal chart. The moment you say, okay, how many of these are above 55,000? Do you see what's happening? My line is actually moving up. How cool is that? Right? Like this. And then you say, okay, I want to see the top 5 categories. You just make it 5, or you make it 3, or you make it 2, like this. Yeah, I mean, just practice it, try to remember what all I did. So right click, change chart type. I made reference line as a line, sales and top in as a column. After that, we also went to format and I'm sorry, why am I not able to select it? Okay. I went to format data series and we made the series overlap 100%, right? Like this. Needless to say, the same example is covered in my Teachable course on charts, among many, many other examples. But I hope you see the possibilities. A lot of people don't even realize that you can do something like this with Excel charts, but as you can see, you can. Later, I will also show you how to do this on Power BI and on Tableau. Um, exactly the same final output, but it's good to know that you can do this even on Microsoft Excel. Okay, there's a question. Let me check that. Yeah, for the reference line, I did a right click anywhere on the chart. Okay, right click, change chart type. And if you look at this area, I made sales as column, reference line as a line. Okay, this one as a line, and top in as a clustered column. So I know all of you want to work with me, and I'm giving you time. But honestly, don't worry too much about remembering everything because you have the course, you have the recording, you can go back and practice. We focus more on understanding what we are doing, right? Any questions, anyone? Let me also refer to the outline that we had initially. Yeah, I mean, of course, we're not following it to a T, but I'm trying to cover most of it. I also want to introduce something on the lines of coding to you, right? That's also very important. Okay. Um, like I said, there are many, many other types of charts that you can create. If you look at my solutions folder, I've already done it, right? And in my online course, it's explained very well in a lot of detail. But you can, I hope all of you can see here that there is so much that you can do with Excel. Watch this. I'll just show you everything I've created. I can have a dynamic chart like this. How cool is that, right? Then you have an OHLC chart for stock market data, open, high, low, close. Then you have these box whisker charts like this one that KPMG has, which is typically for min, max, median, quartile 1, quartile 3. Then you have these data labels at the top. So I have this KPMG report. So that is what I've tried to create on Excel. How cool is that? Watch this. So if I change this number to, let's say, 250, do you see how this number at the top is also changing? Very cool, right? Okay. Then there is a heat map. One more heat map. This is a BCG report. Again, a BCG report. Right. So these are all charts I've created, by the way. Okay. You see this? So, like this, there are a lot of examples. Look at the scatter chart. How cool is that? It's actually a bubble chart like this. And this uses the filter function, by the way. And then you have these difference from population pyramid. We have already done this one. Then you have these layered donut. PwC loves using this all the time. And then this is again a KPMG report, the 100% stack bar. This is, I think, a McKinsey report, right? So, like this, there are a lot of examples. This is a waffle chart. McKinsey loves using it like this. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I will not even be able to tell you what all is there. But all of these things have been covered in my Teachable course. So there's a lot to study. That is what I'm trying to tell you, that charts in Excel doesn't mean, oh, there are like 12 charts and it will take me 2 hours to go through everything. There is so much that you can do with charts. In fact, there's a guy who is one of the best in the world when it comes to Excel charts. His name is Carlos Barboza. Okay, check this out. I mean, prepare to be absolutely blown away. Okay. Now, I'm not sure where I'm going to find his website. I think it's Spilled Graphics. One. I mean, his work is a league apart. I mean, it's ridiculous, the sort of things that he does. Just check this out. And by the way, you can also download these files, okay? These are all Excel charts. I mean, with dynamic arrays. It is so good. I mean, even I probably only understand like 20% of it. The sort of things that this guy is doing is brilliant. I mean, some of these charts you can't even do on Power BI and Tableau. I hope just by looking at it, you can see, look at this one, the dynamic array arrows. I mean, how awesome is that? Right? And there are like so many of these examples that I've been given. Look at this one, markers with images. Okay. And like I said, everything that we have here is downloadable, right? Which is even better. Check this out. I mean, how awesome is that? I think this will not work on the online version. I believe I'll have to open it on the desktop app. 1 minute. Okay, one moment. Yeah. You see this? How awesome is that? Check this out. I can actually move the band here as well. Amazing, right? And if you have the time and the energy, you can actually go and see what type of formulas he's using. It's not that the formulas are very complicated or something very different. It's just the way everything has been set up, right? Which is what is exciting. So I can look at either one category or all the category. I can actually move it like this. How cool is that? So I just share the link with everyone and you guys can have a look at this. It's called Spilled Graphics. And let me keep this here. Okay. All right. Good. I'm fairly happy with what all we have covered in Excel. Of course, there's so much more to do. If you look at my online course, again, that is very, very detailed. if I can just walk you through it, just for Excel, okay? This is the content that has been covered on Excel. So if you look at Excel, I have Excel Bible, data cleaning, VLOOKUP, pivot table, charts, date functions, VBA programming, financial formulas, corporate finance, dynamic arrays, HR analytics, Power Query, tips, customer analytics, statistics, the future of Excel, JavaScript, TypeScript, Google Sheets and JavaScript Google Sheets. It's 45 hours of content. And I mean, again, if you go through the topics, you see it's, like I said, very, very, very detailed, right? It will take you like many, many months to complete it. It's not something you can do in 1 month or 2 months. You will probably not even be able to complete it in a year. There's so much content that I've given to you, which is both a good and a bad thing, because you can't complete everything. You have to be very picky and selective in terms of what is most important to you. That is why this hopefully will help. In fact, I'll add this to the Dropbox link as well. Hopefully this will help you, because I've given the difficulty level of each course, and I've also suggested the specialization that it is apt for. For example, if you're in finance, then I recommend that these courses are, you have access to all the 34 courses, but I suggest that these are the courses that are, which I feel most important for you. Same for marketing, HR, and operations, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't do the others. Like if you're in finance, I'm not saying you shouldn't do a customer analytics course, but it will hopefully get you started to decide what is most important, right? If you all give me a minute, I'll just put it on the Dropbox link as well, so that I don't forget it. Hold on. So I just did a training with Ascii, and I want to put this in. Okay, I'm not sure where I'll find it. Just a moment. Yeah, here we go. This is the one. So what I've done here is I've given a list of all the courses. Yeah, I think this is the one. Okay, you don't have it, so I'll share it with you. So let me make a copy and put it in training and XIM files, and I will put it here itself, right? Okay, there we go, right? Details for courses, specialization, order, hours, and difficulty, right? Okay, now for the next 20 minutes, I would request all of you to not work with me. See, I always want you to work hands-on. We have worked hands-on so far. Starting tomorrow, when we work on Power BI, I promise you we will be working hands-on. But for now, right, please don't work hands-on, because I can't expect you to work with me and learn VBA in 20 minutes. It is better for you to just watch, understand, ask me questions. And of course, you have the course with you. You can go back and practice, right? Because if you practice with me, invariably, you will have some error. And if I try to solve it, then we will not be able to discuss what I have planned, right? So I hope it's okay with everyone. Just for this particular section, I would request all of you to just watch, okay? Now, if you look at programming on Excel, there are a few different ways of doing it, right? One is VBA, which is Visual Basic for Applications. And then you have something called TypeScript. We also have Python, right? We also have JavaScript. We also have Power Query, and we also have Power Pivot. Now, I know I'm confusing you all a lot, but formulas and functions is only one part of Excel. What we have done so far, which is SUMIF, unique, edate, anything and everything that you do in formulas and functions is only one part of Excel. Other than that, you have something called Visual Basic, you have TypeScript, you have JavaScript, you have Python, you have Power Query, and you have Power Pivot. Now, Power Query and Power Pivot, we will be covering in Power BI starting tomorrow, because it is the same. Power Query and Power Pivot work on Power BI as well. So this will be covering tomorrow. This third part we've already done, formulas and functions, and I want to show you the other part, right? In fact, there's one more called Lambda, which also I have to show. Now, Python is not available by default. So there is no feature in Excel that allows you to work with Python. For this, you will have to get a separate tool, right? It is called Excel Wings. This is just for your awareness so that you know that, oh, there is something like this available in the market. So Excel Wings is an add-in available for Excel and Google Sheets. And basically what it allows you to do is, if you see, you can run, any of you who already work on Python, you know what a Jupyter Notebook is. You can run a Jupyter Notebook directly within Excel. How cool is that? Or within Google Sheets. I haven't worked on it a lot, so I will not really be able to tell you much, but in case you are curious and you want to have a look at this, Excel Wings is the website, everyone. You can have a look at this, right? So this is Excel Wings. This we will do in Power BI and Power BI. Now let's talk about the rest. Visual Basic is a very old language. It's a 31 years old language. It launched in 1991. And if you search for VBA, it will basically tell you that VBA is a dead language. If you notice, it says that, I don't know where it says this, one moment. Just a second. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure how to find it. Hold on. Yeah, this is the part. 2007, it was declared as a legacy language, which means that Microsoft is not really focusing on it anymore. They dragged it along for a while. The future of Excel is JavaScript and TypeScript. JavaScript, I'm sure all of you have heard of, even if you're not worked on it, right? But VBA still works and it will continue to work. VBA will never die. So if you Google it and if you say, is VBA dead? There are lots of conversations about it. That is VBA dead? What will replace it? Should we work on VBA? Should we not work on it? I can tell you very clearly and categorically, please learn VBA. While Microsoft is no longer developing it, it is still available on every single version of Excel, right? From the oldest one to the newest one, but it doesn't work online. That is why we have something called TypeScript. Now, what is it, right? VBA is Visual Basic for application, and let me show you how it works. I just need 2 minutes to give you an example. Now, imagine that I want to do a repetitive task. For example, maybe I want to create a pivot table, but I don't want to, and I have to do it every Friday evening. You know, I get the weekend data and I have to do it every single weekend. It's the same 100 things that I have to do. I have to remove a row, I have to add a formula, I have to change the colors. But it doesn't make sense, right? Because I have to repeat it every single week. So what does VBA do? If all of you can see, please. Let me show you the file. This is a project I had done with a client a while back. Check this out. Do all of you see this entire dashboard created? There are these different cuts, there are formulas, there are charts. The charts have different colors, there are pivot tables. Everything is automated. What that means is, please watch. Let me delete it. This is my data coming from SAP. Usually, so the client problem was that, Havish, we have to spend 2 days at the end of every month creating that dashboard that we have to present to the management. Now, why do you spend 2 days every month? It's a waste of everybody's time, isn't it? So what did I do? I basically wrote the code behind it. If you look at the code here, this is all the programming behind it. Now, see, this is programming. I'm not going to beat around the bush. This is hardcore programming. It has very little to do with writing Excel formulas and SUMIF and VLOOKUP. This is programming, right? But I want to show you the capability of learning programming. My hands are here. Watch what happens. When I click on this button, how awesome is that? It just takes 1 second and it literally builds my entire report for me. It's only one time that you have to build the code. But then what happens is that you are able to essentially, create an automation. So when you look at RPA, robotic process automation, what is it? It's nothing but a macro, right? VBA is also a macro. You're repeating repetitive tasks, right? Which is what we're doing right now. I have this beautiful course on VBA, which was updated a few months back as well. It's an absolutely fantastic course. Very happy with how the course came out. Why do I recommend everybody should learn it? Number one, because it is based on Excel, so it's easy to learn. Number two, any company that you go to will appreciate the fact that you know VBA. Number three, it's a very easy language to learn, right? So it makes all the sense to learn it. You can learn Python as well. You should learn Python as well. But I think everybody should learn VBA at least a little bit, even if you don't go into a lot of depth. Now, the question is, how does VBA work on the cloud when you're working on Excel Online? Because see, Excel Online, like I said, does not have VBA in it, right? So let me just open a blank file. In Excel Online, we have something called TypeScript. Let me show you how that works. I have this button called Automate. I think with the free version, you might not have this. You will need to have the paid version of Excel for this, right? Okay, please watch. So I'm just going to record my action, right? Please look carefully. So I'm writing name and sales. I'm writing A and B and C, and I'm writing 1 and 2 and 3, correct? And I'm doing this on a different sheet as well, right? Here as well, with some different numbers on it. So maybe here it is called D and E and F, and I'm writing 6 and 5 and 4. So because I want to repeat my action, before I perform my actions for the first time, I will click on the record actions button. Look what happens when I click on record actions. I can just select, I can change this to bold. I can add a border here. I can come here, I can say equal to sum of all the three numbers. I can make it bold, I can change the color here. And I will say this is my total in maybe a yellow color. Fair enough. Now all these actions have been recorded. So once I stop the recording, what is generated is a code like this. This language that you see right now is called TypeScript, right? Like this. So JavaScript is the main language, and TypeScript is just a language created by Microsoft, which is based on JavaScript. So you notice that TypeScript is a language created, developed, and maintained by Microsoft, and it is based on JavaScript. So if you know one, you know the other one as well. It has some added features in it. So this is how the JavaScript looks. I showed you VBA on Excel. This is TypeScript on Excel Online. Now, what's the big deal about it? The big deal is that if I come back and I repeat, or rather run this code in 1 single second, the entire actions will take place. Watch this. How awesome is that? Did you see this? I can do the same thing in Excel as well. In Excel also, we have this option called record macro, but here the record macro will happen with VBA, not with TypeScript, right? What is JavaScript? Now, JavaScript is used for creating web applications. So if I go to insert and I go to add-ins, it's a store. Like you have a store on Android and iOS, you have a store. I also have 2 applications available here. So if you search for my name, you will find 2 applications available. One is a stopwatch. How does a stopwatch work? When I add it, it basically creates a stopwatch inside Excel like this. But how have I created it? Like, how is this application running? Where is the formula behind it? This, everyone, has been created on JavaScript. So if I inspect, you can actually see the code behind it. Like a web page, you can see the code behind it. Right? So like this, there are lots of applications available on the store. You have Wikipedia, you have SAP, you have Salesforce. You have, I'm not sure if Salesforce is there, but SAP is also there. Look at this, SAP Analytics Cloud. Right? I also want to show you Lambda, but first you ask me, tell me if you have any questions from this, and then I'll answer your question and then continue. I know I'm showing you a lot of things, The idea is for you to know, oh, this is the scope of Excel. Excel is not just about building formulas and doing spreadsheet modeling and creating charts. There is a lot to Excel. Should you be learning everything with the same level of detail? Of course not. I'm just a novice in JavaScript and TypeScript, but I'm an expert in VBA. I'm very good with Power Query and I'm trying to get better at Power Pivot. I'm also trying to get very good at Lambda. I mean, for me, it's different because this is my livelihood, right? So I have to be good at it. But I'm not working on Python, for example. I'm not working on TypeScript and JavaScript much. So it really depends on your use case. But VBA is quite important. Power Query, Power Pivot, we'll be doing starting tomorrow in the Power BI session. Okay. So just take 2 minutes, think about everything I've told you, and let me know if you have any questions. What is the application level difference between VBA and TypeScript? See, VBA is created for MS Office, which means it's Visual Basic for application. It only works on Excel, PowerPoint, Word, Outlook, etc. TypeScript is based on JavaScript. So obviously, the object library that I have on TypeScript will be much wider. For example, I can do API calls. Not to confuse you too much, but if I show you the script lab, I can do the sort of things with JavaScript and TypeScript, which I can't do with VBA. If I just show you the samples, you see all this? Okay. I can do the sort of stuff which I can do XML paths. I can do a web request. Most of this is not possible with VBA or is very difficult with VBA, but JavaScript and TypeScript allows me to do all this. See, don't get worried about this. See, the point is nobody is going to learn everything. Not because it's hard, but because it doesn't make any sense. If I am a consultant working with a ZS or a KPMG, why the hell would I want to learn all of this? I'm just telling you to make you aware. That's why I'm spending 20 minutes on this. VBA, Power Query, Power Pivot, you have to learn. No questions about it. Python depends on you. JavaScript, TypeScript, you can ignore. I think only for very few users that's important. And as it is, we are very early in that life cycle. Even I'm not working on it a lot, but I'm preparing myself for the next 5-10 years, which I always like to do. So I'm just telling this to you to make you knowledgeable of the fact that, oh, this exists, but you don't have to put any effort into it right now. In fact, I think most of the people who work on TypeScript and JavaScript will not be the analysts, they'll be the IT folks. Because for an analyst, a data analyst, a product manager, an HR business partner, I don't think we guys are going to end up working on programming as it is. So it's just about knowledge and awareness, nothing about being an expert at it. And by the way, I'm not telling you something which is very unusual or very hard to find. If you go online and if you type TypeScript Excel, there is an entire documentation available on it on Microsoft. If you notice, the entire documentation is available. How does scripting work on Excel and TypeScript and JavaScript? Right? They've been giving you examples. They have given you basically everything has been given here. Right? So they talk about what is the role of Office scripts, why do we need it, in which version does it work, things like that. Oh, by the way, you will not have TypeScript because you only have this with a business account, as in Office 365 Business, which I have. So don't be worried if you don't find it. You will not find it with the personal Office 365. Yeah. Right, everyone? Okay. One last thing I want to show you for today is, just allow me to clean up a little bit. Perfect. I would like to show you something called Lambda. Now, Lambda is what we call as an anonymous function, okay? And Lambda is a term that you will find in multiple places. So we have something called Amazon Web Services Lambda. Then you have Lambda in Python as well. The basic idea of Lambda is, if you notice, right? How we use lambda in statistics is a little different, right? But in programming, whenever we say lambda, we basically mean that. How do I show it to you? Just a minute. Okay. So whenever we say a lambda, we basically mean to say that we are creating an anonymous function. For example, if I say in Excel, please watch everyone. If I say in Excel, very simple example. If I say, how do you find the square of a number? Anyone? Do you know the function to find the square of a number? How do you find the square of a number? If I want to do 12 multiplied by 12, how will I do that? Right. So there are two ways. One is that you multiply it by itself, correct? Or you write equal to the power of 2, hat 2, correct? If I want to find the square root, then I have a function called sqrt, agreed? And it will give you the square root. But the problem is that I don't have a function called square. But what if you want to create one? Before lambda was there in Excel, you needed to know program. You would do it on JavaScript or on TypeScript or on VBA. But now I can do something like this. This is so cool. Watch this. I can say that if I have a 12 and I want to find the 12 multiplied by 12, I can just say equal to lambda. That means I'm creating my own function without any program. What does the function do? It takes a parameter called anything. Let's just call it input. And the result will be nothing but my input multiplied by itself. Fair enough? Now it won't work. It will give you an error, but I'll just copy it, Control C. I will go to Formulas Name Manager, and I will create a new name. I'll call it square, and I will put it here. As you can see, like this. And this is so cool because now I can just literally write square. This means that if I want to do an operation and Excel doesn't give me that function, I can create that function. How amazing is that? Does it make sense, everyone? What lambda is? Okay. Now, the introduction of lambda was such a big deal that even Satya Nadella spoke about it. Because when lambda was introduced last year, basically now Excel has become a Turing complete programming language, right? You can see this. Satya Nadella tweeted saying that Excel formulas, which is the world's most popular programming language, is now Turing complete. Because the fact that I can create my own functions without learning any programming is fantastic. It opens up so many other opportunities and possibilities, right? So if you look at my YouTube channel, I have a playlist on Lambda, and I've done like these amazing things. Let me show you. I've also explained how to use it, but let me show you something very cool. Look at, one moment. Just a second. Okay, look at this. Now imagine that I want to extract the first name, the middle name, and the last name. Now this is quite complex because you will have to use left, right, find, mid, which we have already done, right? Text cleaning functions. So what I've done here is I have basically created a Lambda function and I have called it extract underscore name. By doing this, all I do is, by the way, I've also explained how I've written the formula here. In case you want to go back and you see how complex the formula is. But the advantage of putting in a Lambda is that for the end user, for my client, I'm just creating this. Check this out. They just need to write extract name. And if they say comma 1, they will get the first name. If they say comma 2, they will get the middle name. And if they say comma 3, they'll get the last name. Right? If you want to look at this in more detail, you can also see my GitHub account. The link is already there on Dropbox. And in my repositories, you will find there are so many examples I've created on Lambda. Right? So yeah, and plus the YouTube videos are there. I have explained Lambda in my dynamic arrays course as well, even though that course will get updated. And there's a lot of content available on the internet. So if you just say Lambda Excel, you'll find now it's about 1.5 years old. So there's a lot of content available on it, but this is amazing. I mean, it completely makes you rethink the way you work, and the sort of things you can do with Lambda is unbelievably cool, right? So definitely be on the lookout for this. This has a practical applicability. Unlike TypeScript and JavaScript, which most of you will never be working on, you will be working on Lambda in another 2 to 3 years. Today, if you ask your alma mater and if you ask people around you, they will say, we haven't even heard of it. Who's to blame? Nobody's to blame. Organizations are very slow when it comes to adopting, new technologies and new features. Like, for example, I have started teaching companies what is Lambda very recently. But in another 1 or 2 years, that will change. And invariably, people will end up using Lambda quite a lot. Right? Yeah, so I've just given you a very broad idea of everything to do with, Excel. So any questions, anyone? Yeah. I promise you there's nothing other than this. So everything that is there with Excel, I have written it down here. So formulas and functions, Lambda, Visual Basic, TypeScript, JavaScript, Python, Power Query, and Power Pivot. In fact, there were some rumors that later this year in 2022, Python will be integrated with Excel natively. So you don't have to install an app or an add-in or another software or anything like that. We don't know if it will happen and when it will happen, but that's pretty cool, right? Because it will open up so many more possibilities. But that's the thing. Excel is now not just Excel. It's a platform where you can do crazy stuff, right? It's not just about building complex formulas and making charts and writing, creating pivot tables. It's so much more than that, which I've just showed you right now. I mean, we haven't even done Power Query and Power Pivot. Be a little patient. We'll be doing that starting tomorrow. But just, I hope you see how vast Excel is. Anything, anyone? For tomorrow, we will be working with Power BI. Please make sure to install it because I'm going to start right away. Okay. There's a lot to be covered in Power BI. The files I've already shared with you. But if you're working on a Mac, let me also discuss that. If you're working on a Mac, the only option you have is to use Parallels. So you basically can install Windows on your computer and work on that. You cannot use the online version of Power BI because a lot of features are not available. Right? The only way for you to work on Power BI properly is to work on Parallels on the Mac, right? Or get a Windows laptop. I would really want you to work with me and not just, watch the video, because it's only when you work yourself, you will get a feel for it and you will learn better. Plus, we are spending 4 days on Power BI. The last 2 days on Tableau is not a problem because Tableau works on Mac and Power and Windows both. But yeah, starting tomorrow, please make sure that Power BI is installed. And if you have any questions related to that, you can always ask me. Or anything else for that matter. Anything else you want to share with me, ask me, let me know. Let's discuss that. All good? Okay, great. So we will have a 2-hour session every day now because, today we did not have to cut it short to 1 hour. So yeah, we follow the same 2-hour schedule every day. And great, I'll see you tomorrow in that case.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.